Leila Sami, who is on the cohort advisory committee for Unveiled. We do have our cohort program, which is called Unwind with Unveiled. So Leila is on the advisory committee on that. She is a visionary executive specializing in driving state of the art technology initiatives with a keen expertise in strategy and leadership. She has distinguished track record of leading cutting-edge software, machine intelligence, and machine learning projects for Fortune 500 companies. Known for her thought leadership in products, engineering, and data, Leila excels in creating and developing innovative, transformative solutions. Leila's strategic acumen is evident in her ability to develop and monetize next generation products while leading intelligence management. She is adept at directing high performing teams to deliver creative applications, infrastructure, and operation solutions. Her passion for helping others led her to engage with different startups and nonprofit organizations like Unveiled, leading and coaching young minds. And today she is joined by Jamie Sanderson Reed. She is one of the trailblazers on Unveiled's cohort program, Unwind with Unveiled. Jamie is a passionate and results oriented technology leader with over 20 years of experience in building and implementing comprehensive programs that deliver enhanced security and end user experience for global energy and technology companies. Jamie is successful through leveraging the power of people in alignment with process and technology. She's obsessed with understanding user needs and translating them into intuitive, secure, and engaging digital experiences. With a proven track record of leading high performing cross functional teams to deliver innovative and impactful digital solutions. With that, I will hand it over to Leila. And for the audience, you can feel free to start asking your questions, comments, and engaging in the chat section as well. We will have a Q&A session later on where we would be happy to pull in your questions as well. With that, Leila, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sahana, for a great introduction and talking about the background on Unveil. It's been such an amazing experience for all of us to be partnering with you in enabling other leaders to change the world of around themselves and impact the life of others. I really appreciate being with you in this journey. I'm, grateful to talk to Jamie about the subject today. Jamie, you got some sort of introduction from, Shahana already, but I think one of the interesting part is to know about you a little bit more and your journey with Unveil and how it impacted your career and changes that you made a decision about. And then we're gonna tackle that and get that as an introduction to see how that changed your mind on transforming your journey and now how we can do this in the other organizations.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leila. So that's a really great point because when I first started the journey with Unveiled, I saw myself as having one sponsor and one path forward to in my career progression, right? And he is an amazing sponsor, but I realized that to be able to progress, there's a need to have more relationships broader. And Unveiled really helped me to kind of open up my thinking about possibilities for sponsorship, how to approach it, and also, I think, even broader, my options for career growth and progression. Because when I first started the journey, my role was Director, Cyber Governance, Risk, and Compliance. And I saw that my only path forward was strictly within the cyber organization or cyber roles and functions. However, within the last month, I've taken on a new role in the same organization as Director, Digital Experience. So I've moved from reporting to the CISO to reporting to the Chief Digital Officer. And I think when we first started Unveiled, I didn't recognize that the CDO was also a sponsor for me, but through the program, I see how like relationship building over the last 3 years that I've been in this company kind of helped that. And Unveiled is also helping me in my current role in terms of thinking about the future and what kind of relationships I need to build with executives within the organization and like technology leaders more broadly in the industry.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good. So I think transforming your journey, transforming people around you, transforming where you have impact. I think all of that makes sense to call this call session to be a digital transformation. But I want to know, tell me a little bit about the urgency that you see behind digital transformation in this era, considering the impact of machine learning, machine intelligence, augmenting human ability for work. Everybody's talking about AI, ML, and tell me what do you see the urgency of the two come together?
So that's a great point, because my organization in particular, just to start the conversation, has been talking about digital transformation for solidly for 5 years, and even before that, right? And in the early days, it was more about how can we automate processes. And now, in the last year, with the like what we call democratization of artificial intelligence, that's the major focus of the company. And I would say, it's not just coming from the chief digital officer, but all the way up to the CEO. And it's just a major point of conversation. And it impacts us across the business, like even in terms of our top customers and what they're focused on and how we can align with them and provide. In my case, it's energy, right? But AI requires quite a lot of energy. So it's truly a fully integrated into everything that we think about as an organization. And I think that because of the advances more recently and how it enables us to empower our employees to do more, to innovate, which is something really important. It's more important than ever. We've always focused on being innovative and coming up with new ways of doing things, leveraging emerging technology, but this is definitely different. And I think it goes to the empowerment piece of it. So it's something that leadership from the very highest levels is focused on and supporting. There's definitely some cost to that from a technology perspective, but we believe that there's going to be a great return on that investment.
I can understand. I really do understand that, and I think as a person who's been in a space of looking and talking and advising a lot of executives within the last 6 months, I feel that how much AI itself have brought confusion into the strategy adjustments for a lot of executives and a lot of leaders and a lot of companies. And it's interesting to see that most of leaders, they know that they need to do something about machine learning, machine intelligence, and automation, and bringing digital transformation to it, align and with alignment. But the how to and where to start and where to invest first has been a challenging conversation that I've been having with a lot of leaders, and I've been guiding and helping them to identify the space for themselves. I think it's critical. And with that thinking, now I'm asking a question, because it's been the question that's been asked quite often, that where do you see, I think everybody talks about the data, the importance of the data in the AI space. So that's pretty much a top topic for a lot of people. But I'm trying to get your opinion and your view and have a discussion around the role of data quality versus data quantity, and the source of generation of the data for successful intelligence transformation. Should we call that it like digital transformation, intelligence transformation, whatever it is? But what do you see the impact of data and quality data versus quantity data?
So that's everything. Garbage in, garbage out, right? And I mean, that's a simple concept that we've thought about for a while, but more importantly, there's so many different types of data. And I think the biggest challenge is actually with unstructured data. And that's also, to me, one of the greatest benefits of AI is being able to scan unstructured data and give us something very quickly to help us to move faster in decision making. But it's also like in a company that deals with it's all the data, the customer data, the whatever products and services, that data, and how do you govern it? So that goes back to my previous role a little bit in terms of governance, risk, and compliance, because in the past it may not have always for all organizations. I mean, data quality was important, but it's now more important than ever. And so a data governance framework, and actively working on that as an organization is critical. It's essential. You can't really, I don't think you can have a strong, reliable deployment of AI without it. And that is in addition to or alongside governance of AI itself, in terms of the models that we use and the use cases that we deploy. So it's two major governance streams that have to happen: the data quality, and then also the AI governance itself.
So should I say it in this way, that for any organization that wants to start structuring their AI strategy, they should start with the data strategy? Do you see it?
I do, and that's going to be a challenge, but it's important. And I say it's a challenge because most of us, and this goes back like 20-30 years, in terms of technology implementations, we really want to get to implementing the technology, doing the new cool exciting things, and sometimes we can skip the fundamentals, and the data quality is an absolute fundamental. And I think any implementation will either be unsuccessful or not deliver at the scale that it has potential to without good quality data.
That's very true. And I think connecting and finding the right lineage between the data entities that comes into play for your automation, for your intelligence built up, it
Yes.
is such an important key foundation that enables you to be safeguarded against the regulatory requirement and need, and also protecting your data and the customer data
Yes.
and everybody else's data, right? I think it's important for leaders to think about, like, okay, if I want to start with data strategy, what are the key foundation of building data strategy, and get that going for the baseline and the platform that AI strategy can sit on top.
I agree with
That's
you.
pretty.
One thing I do want to say, I'm not advocating perfection, because obviously we will never be able to move ahead without that. But like you said, as a strategy, agreeing on what variants we're willing to tolerate, and then managing against that.
Awesome. That's a great key point. That was actually quite interesting, because I think a lot of us fall for that, and I think you calling that out is very quite interesting. Good one. Okay, so now that we're thinking about all of that, I think time is always against us, right? The speed matters, and sometimes we go too fast, too early, and then we don't take time to really slow down to go speedy. Like, tell me about that. Like, tell me about the importance and crucial, being so crucial to be speedy in this space. What are the challenges actually for that too?
So it can't be understated, right? We do have to move fast, and that's coming off of our last point of also building a good foundation as we go. But it's a competitive advantage to be able to keep up with this technology now. I think leaders at the highest levels will say that if we don't move fast, we're going to fall behind, and we may never be able to catch up. So this is like long term. They're skeptics about the importance of AI in particular, and AI today is the most important technology that's emerging. I think that it has an impact on how we work, how we operate as a business. But it can't be understated that some organizations, if they don't keep up with this, could potentially fall behind and never be able to catch up. So if you talk to our leaders, it's like the biggest risk is not capturing opportunities. Of course, there's other very important risks along the governance piece about avoiding bias and having reliable outcomes. But the biggest concern for leaders is missing out on opportunities here and not being able to catch up from a strategic point of view. And then also, like, my area is more digital experience, the end user experience, and how they interact with these new solutions that we deploy. And from that perspective, if we don't move fast enough, people can lose buy-in. They can, maybe become more skeptical about the value of it, and that lead to us not really fully optimizing what we can do with the new technology. So it's also very important from a practical end user perspective, and being able to adapt to, what our competitors are doing, going back to that competitive advantage. And we see this as just kind of like if you think about back when the internet was first introduced, and how that has changed the way that we work. We see that use of AI as a technology is having that level of change on how we work internally, in terms of being able to manage our processes and get things done, but also in terms of how we can deliver new products to our customers. Now to your point, now what about the concerns about doing that too fast? I think the main way that we can adjust to that is having a good cross-functional team, that steering committee, or thought leaders that are participating in at various levels, right? So at the strategic level, in the governance streams that we talked about, data and also AI governance, and then also in that end user experience piece, like and tuning that to make sure that the teams and individuals are getting the value that they expect.
I think I feel like when I listen to your explanation, I feel like that's where the challenges exist today, balancing between risk and time and speed, while not willing to lose on the opportunity. And I think if we look at our daily life, I think a lot of us personally take those kind of actions on a basic, normal, tangible life events, right? We tell ourselves that, what, take a risk, and then be careful, but, take it on, like, it's okay. I think at a bigger organization with the business impact and stuff like that, the leaders have the responsibility to be a lot more careful. But I think it's always opportunity to take an action, and within a boundary of the risk protection. You don't need to go all in, but you need to start experiencing, building muscles, learning how to do things, and get your hands dirty on it, and start having the strategy that, okay, at the end of the day, I need foundation. So as I'm working on my foundation, I can't get my hand dirty and tangible solution. So it's potentially a good opportunity for keeping the balance. But it's been interesting, and I think now we're thinking about that, in that balance, finding the best opportunity, how to do that, like how really looking, what do you think is the best way to find the main problem statement to solve or focus for as a first? Is it the main one, or is it the first one? Is it the low hanging fruit, or is it like, what do you think? What is your view on that?
I think it's both.
Oh my God, it's always that, right? When we ask why the leaders are so confused.
Yes. Like you said, you have to take risks, but you do that with support, right? So bringing in experts who are on the cutting edge of this, I think, is critical, especially if you're doing not just the low hanging, but the main the main problems. Then you need additional expertise, and it's okay to bring that in, whether it's recruiting talent or working alongside partners who have that expertise and are established and have already delivered successful implementations. And then the other piece, which I'm really excited about, and that my organization is actually doing, is ideas campaigns. It's like crowdsourcing ideas for the implementation of AI, and then and then having, again, cross-functional subject matter experts led by, in this case, it's our top data scientist expert, having them to assess, assess the risk, first of all, assess the potential, and that includes the opportunities that could come from it, and then also prioritizing together which things do we need to explore more and kind of escalate, which I think is just amazing, right? And this is pretty new that we're doing, and there's lots of different platforms. Again, that's technology enablement that already exists that you can use. Of course, you could build your own, but you need to have this to be a fairly fast process, again, to be able to move on this in a fast way, and also to keep the crowd, the employees across the company, to keep them informed of like the impact that they're making, right? Because that further builds buy-in and will generate more ideas in the future.
So I'm thinking about what you said about crowdsourcing ideas, and then getting employees engaged about really what to do first, and then not thinking about the how to do first like that. So what have you seen working, or have you thinking that, or heard that it's thinking working, that you do crowdsourcing all these ideas, and usually our employees work that they care about the business, they come up with the best ideas, and they really have, because they are so close to the problem statement and challenges on a day-to-day basis, they have things that they wish was different. And when you do that crowdsourcing, it happens that they all hope that if they bubble their idea, something gonna happen. So then you eventually, if you have too many good employees that they care, you get too many ideas. And like I think filtering through and just thinking about how much of that we can invest on immediately for immediate business impact versus what we can do immediately for a long-term impact. The balance between those are really important, right? So tell me what you think about that.
Absolutely. And from what I've seen, my world, again, is end user experience. And in my case, particularly employees, right? That's my world, employee experience with digital. Of course, customer experience is it's equally important. And in some ways you could argue more important, because the customer, provides the funding for everything that we do. It's how we're profitable. With that said, I think organizations are prioritizing the more expensive implementations, or on projects that will directly impact revenue generating functions, right? And at the same time also empowering employees with and it's becoming more available, the different kind of out of the box market solutions that are available. And then, I mean, in my case, in my organization, and I am not the leader of this, but we even have a team that has built built solutions for employees, but focused on helping the employees better deliver to customers, right? So I guess in summary, what I'm seeing is the prioritization being really on revenue generating and activities that directly improve the customer experience, even though at the same time it's making it easier for employees to work and find the information that they need.
I think it's interesting balance, right? So at the end of the day, machine should come and help us in twofold: save money, make money. And how we can make a balance to bring the save money in the right time, integrated in our workflow, and then the make money part also for the customer. So the employee and customer are pretty important. It's the employees to become more efficient and effective, and the customer to become more, pleased by the product and have a better experience. That's for sure. So in this landscape, what you have seen so far working on the technology, finding and picking the technology, build versus buy,
Ooh.
experimenting with them. Um, tell us a little bit about that pattern.
And another great point that you make there, and it goes back to what you said about getting your hands dirty and trying different things. So what I've seen is we've been doing all. So we obviously look to buy where we can. From my experience, it's been more on the employee enablement side. But because our customers are very niche, it's specific, we're doing much more build on that side in terms of like solutions that will better improve the customer experience, or even evolve the products that we can deliver to the market. And because of that, I think the greater financial investment is on that side, because the things that make it easier for employees to work day to day are typically off the shelf, so there's going to be less cost there. But at the same time, I think that as we look at improving the customer experience in the long term, and every organization is different, but what I see currently is a focus more on not saving money necessarily in the immediate term, but making money, enabling employees to be more efficient, enable us to work better and at a higher scale and higher quality. That's the current focus, but we absolutely expect in the long term that there will be cost savings.
Totally. Totally. So that's good. So now let's go back to the technology selection. So how do you see that? How have you seen things being done?
Uh, so we've been doing a lot of pilots, so that we can learn and grow first without the commitment and get that feedback and then make decisions based off of that. Um, we're building the governance as we go, because this is a new space, and our focus in that. I mean, we've been acquiring, so in some cases, technology solutions to help us do that. Um, but our focus is always, can we meet our needs, but do it in the simplest way? Like, we don't, in this whole process, we don't want to end up making it more difficult or make work more complicated and take more time. So it's a delicate balance there to be able to provide the governance necessary while also enabling people to continue to move as fast as possible. So and we do that really through SME, cross-functional SME leadership. I probably can't say that enough, the importance of having cross-functional. So I mean, in our case, it's technology leaders, business leaders, that more customer facing side of the business, and then also legal, cyber. You mentioned data protection. That's also very important, and we have to be able to be mindful of that without having that impede on our ability to continue to go. So that's the way that we've been approaching it, kind of as pilot projects, to be able to explore. And like I said, it's a mix of internal, in-house developed, and we have really invested in a great team for that. And then also looking at what's available on the market. And then a third piece is looking at partners who are experts in this area, who can provide, guidance and also help us solution together.
Yeah, I think I heard a lot of organizations starting with the pilot, or even doing in a small, medium viable solution integration for limited audience and things like that. So that's pretty much a good approach. And selecting the technology, I think as a technologist, I feel like there are so many options out there that our team need to really keep themselves educated and understanding about the individual of these pieces, and how they can integrate them with their own system. The cost is important. The infrastructure, AI infrastructure, is pretty expensive, and making sure that we use and choose the right one is pretty critical. So it's a lot on the shoulder of architects and solution architects that are out there understanding and studying and learning about these tools. Definitely there is a big requirements in integration and compatibility with our all infrastructure. If we are on a specific cloud migration solution, it hang us to just keep going with that kind of type of solutions. And those are definitely key identifier for making decision. And I hope that our architects are brave enough to just keep studying and keep assessing the opportunities. Jamie, it's been great conversation. We have a little bit of more time, I guess. I don't know if there is a question on the queue yet, but I want to see, we talked a lot, and I like these kind of fireside chats because it brings a little bit of light to the world that we live. I would love to see if you have a tangible example in your journey that you have seen firsthand, good or bad, doesn't matter, but something that you can see that if what happened, the lesson learned from them that you can share with the audience.
Absolutely. So I think first off, I'll take a step back from like digital transformation or technology implementations and just talk a little bit about my journey as a woman in technology and making career changes. And then I'll come back and bring it to what we're talking about in terms of implementations and organizations. So being able to, it's interesting because it aligns so well with our conversation here in terms of being able to move at the right speed and take risk when the time is right. So I've worked in a couple of different organizations here in the US, but before I lived outside of the US for 16 years and worked there. And then upon coming back, that was a really big risk because coming and joining the corporate world in America at maybe 10, 15 years behind where most people would have was scary, and it was overwhelming in a way because I in some ways had a mindset of maybe what someone straight out of college would in terms of what to expect from the work, even though I had these experiences in another country. It was just a big challenge for me, and the great thing that helped me along the way was mentors and eventually sponsors. But in the beginning, it was just a lot of mentors. And there was a lot of frustration in terms of being in a technology group in a corporate Fortune 500 company and feeling so small, but having so many ambitions and ideas about how to support continuous improvement, how to support my team. But I was able to kind of navigate that with the help of, in my case, primarily other women technology leaders who had formed women in technology group at the company where I was. And Layla, I don't know if you remember this, but we were together at that company and building that. And for me, that was a critical point. And I raise that because it for people young in their career, especially even before you get to the sponsorship piece, which is critical for senior leadership roles, but mentorship is a really great first step. And that's where I really started to build relationships with some of the women who are my strongest supporters today and who advocate for me even when I don't even know they are. So I talk about one primary sponsor who kind of helped me get my current role, but what I am beginning to understand is that I have many other sponsors that I don't even know who are working on my behalf and who are promoting me and trying to seek opportunities for me. But it's because of working in that initial project to volunteer and help and get to know other women who just really wanted to support each other. And being brave enough then to leave that company and to go to a different one and start again. And now for me, even to move to this new role and start again, like it's important to be brave and to take these challenges when you can. And our life situation varies all the time. So sometimes it's not feasible, but when it's feasible, I think that's important. And with technology implementations, it's a similar thing. Before I jump to that, does that make sense, Layla, in terms of that journey?
Yeah, it definitely does. It just reminds me about the days that we were pretty much always the only woman in the room.
Yes.
and um, and always been told, like I remember as a young person, that I always been told, listen and learn. And
Yes.
that was the advice. And then I eventually got to the point that, okay, I listened, I learned. I don't want everybody going through the same path. Not everybody needs to go through the hardship to listen and learn. So let me help them be faster in their journey. And we got more and more of us in the room, and you remember our time. And it is exciting to see how we can help others. And I think technology is not any much different. I think generally learning something new means that you feel brave, but you lean on your network of sponsors and coaches, and we need all of them at the same time. Like, there is no way that you just go after sponsorship, someone to sponsor you, but you don't have a coach to help you get better. So I think that's balance we can find. I think in technology it's the same story.
Thank you.
I think we went over time for our chat, so let's see if there is a question in the queue, and give it back to Sahana and how she wants to lead this from here.
Thank you, Layla.
Of course. Thank you so much. It
Sure.
was a great conversation.
Yes.
Sure. This has been a great conversation and really very insightful. The career paths, and then really getting into how do you actually pull it off in organizations, especially when it's such a front and center conversation, and that keeps going, keeps increasing. We do have a question in queue. So it's a question curious to hear your perspective on whether we are at risk of overstating how obsolete current technology workforce is versus those newly minted with ML AI skills. Are we talking enough about reskilling and upskilling current workforce?
So I will start with that, and then of course Layla will probably have some more to add. In my experience, and this is all new for us, right? But that's a really important point that you make. And training is a good it's like the another core piece. Like, we have to look at the technology solutions, but we also have to look at enabling the people and empowering them to effectively use those solutions. So, I mean, even when you think about just basic prompting of our models, whether they're built internally or externally, it's a skill. And it's something that we have begun to work on. Honestly, we have a lot more work to do in that space. Um, Part of it is we're encouraging people to just get in and experiment, but they do need some basic guidance and some support to be able to do that more effectively. And I don't think I think it is more of using this to kind of work together to get to the next level. I don't think that we can consider our current practices obsolete. I mean, that we're still dealing with legacy systems and infrastructure that, before even thinking about the whole AI piece, just to bring us to current day. Any company that's been around for more than 10 years is going to have legacy things to work on. So and I think that's the difficult piece, is maintaining that, bringing that along, and then also incorporating these new technologies into that without losing sight of the rest of the enterprise that exists beyond that.
I appreciate that, and I agree with you. I think that there is a lot of the question is very solid and very valid. It's a balancing act, as we always have to go with. I think the most successful companies are the companies that are always have about 10 to 15% of their employee time to fight the technology debt, and another 10% for innovation. If we have that balance as a day-to-day standard in an organization, these organizations bloom very fast because the team don't feel like they're always fighting a battle of keeping the lights on, and there are new people joining and for the more shiny new thing. And it's this culture shift will not exist, and then the company grows together at the same time with the whole as a whole, with every single employee in it. I'm excited to see that some of the companies take that in. I've been always very high advocate for that culture, not is easy to implement in enterprises that are like, as you say, 10, 20, like 10 is not young anymore, like 20-year-old. And but with the more newly built organization, this culture can shift. And yes, there is an investment, there is a price to pay, but I think our employees really, really worth it. So we should definitely make sure that the balance is controlled. I do agree with the main point in the question. I think that's a really valid question, but I was trying to just explain how we can fight that battle.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for that amazing question. And I think it just goes back to everything that you've talked about today in really enabling and empowering organizations and teams to be
And
able to
people.
do this. And, the question also kind of highlights that we need to acknowledge that those skills are also still relevant versus kind of this mainstream dialogue of almost that's no longer going to stay relevant, and we have a skills gap which everyone is talking about. so,
Yeah.
so it was
You
really
know,
good to get both of your perspectives on that.
thank you. Is there any other questions in the queue?
No, I think we are at time. So we really appreciate both your perspectives, Layla and Jamie. Honestly, this was such an insightful conversation. And any final words of wisdom from both of you before we close the call?
I just want to quickly thank you, Sahana and Layla, for the work that you're doing to, help emerging senior leaders in technology to really feel confident in their journey, including myself. And my main kind of takeaway is, and this applies to personal journey, career journey, and technology as it evolves, is be brave. Um, Leverage your network. Layla, I love how you brought that together, but be brave and leverage your network.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that's a main key for me as well. I want to share with everybody who's listening to this today and tomorrow or whenever offline. Two things. If you're a leader, your employees are the most important area that you can invest in. So being a sponsor means that you care about the company. So take care of the good people you have in your company today. And for those who are looking to be taken care of and being heard and getting hand up for growth, be brave, speak up, present yourself, and keep your skills sharp. So you will win.
Layla, that was amazing. Jamie as well. And just to your point, I think that's such a great segue into a plug for our upcoming fundraiser event in New York City on July 29th. We have the last few early bird tickets left so make sure if you are haven't gotten it yet, you're securing your spot. We are going to talk about reimagining sponsorship. So everything that you just highlighted, how do you actually advocate for yourself to gain sponsors, and as leaders in organizations, what can you do differently to remove those invisible barriers and be an effective sponsor for underrepresented groups? So make sure you're signing up for Bridge the Gap, Reimagine Sponsorship. All the details are on our website as well as our LinkedIn page or Instagram. So hope to see you there. And again, thank you, Layla and Jamie, for this wonderful conversation. I learned so much from it, and I can't wait for more conversations.
You are the inspiring person, Sahana, here, and we
Absolutely.
really appreciate putting us together and making this a real powerful move.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.